As many of you know, these last couple of weeks have been a very difficult time for me. I actually almost had asked Mary to supply for me this morning because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to be here. And I have been very grateful for all of your support and all of your help that you have given or offered in so many different ways. On Wednesday, Ryan and I went over to Monroe to visit my grandmother, Chris, who many of you will know, who's in the hospital at St. Francis. We learned last Friday that she has metastatic cancer. A few weeks ago, she was fine, and then very suddenly she was not. Needless to say, we're all still in a bit of shock about it. When the oncologist came in to deliver the bad news, she and I talked about it. We talked about how, in many ways, knowing that your time is nearing its close is a great gift. It gives you the ability to make amends before meeting your Maker. It gives you the opportunity to say goodbye and to ensure that your loved ones know just how deeply they are loved. I mention this specifically to say that I kept wondering where God was in the midst of this. We were angry and sad and hurting. And here lays a woman who throughout her life has been a devoted servant of Christ and a loving example of all that a Christian can be, and yet must suffer and die. It's not fair. They say that a mother loves you, but a grandmother is always on your side. And for me, that has most certainly been true. Even in moments when I perhaps did not deserve to have her on my side, even when I was wrong, I could always count on her to be on my side, to come to my defense. As we were preparing to leave on Wednesday, I leaned down to give her a kiss in her hospital bed, and she had been in and out all day because of the medications that she's on. But I told her that I loved her, and she looked up at me right in the eyes and said, as she has said so many times, her typical response, "I love you more." And in that moment, I realized where Christ was in the midst of this. He was right there in the hospital bed, looking back at me as he has so many times, but perhaps now more clearly than I have ever seen him. Despite all that we have done or will do, Christ looks back on us and tells us that he loves us more. In every curse and every blessing and every detriment and praise that exits our lips, we are greeted the same every time by that love that loves us more. And I think that the way that we can know that anyone loves us is to gauge how they respond to us, even when we know that we're in the wrong. And this is love, and that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. It's not fair, but thank God for it. And while Jesus Christ died once for all, we have all been invited to follow his example. And even in the most common of occurrences, we can show the world that we represent a God who loves us more than anything we were or anything we could be. A God who loves us more than anyone else could. A God who loves us with such vigor and strength that even the bitter grasp of death will loosen. The tomb will crack open, and those who have died with Christ will be raised with him. Because even when we are lost in death, we worship a God who knows his way out of the grave, and he will not leave us or forsake us or abandon us despite anything we are or anything we do. He loves us more. He's on our side in every way that he can be. So where is God in the midst of tragedy and suffering? He is where he always is, standing victorious over the gates of hell, trampling down death by death. And it's not fair. It's more powerful than that. It's love.